Good evening, good evening. I do believe we're live. That pops up pretty shortly here. There we are. I don't have a monologue tonight, because, I just didn't get there. I don't have a monologue tonight, a funny one. I will try to do better tomorrow. Shame on me. I do have some interesting stuff to talk about tonight, to go over. I've got 5 articles up. Man, I'll tell you, I do feel better, by the way. I've got something going on with my blood sugar, and I don't know what the hell it is, but it's not fun. Today has been keeping on top of it. Yesterday, I was feeling rough. I was feeling real rough. And then before I even started to make dinner, then I got dinner made. In the process of making dinner, I had a small grease fire, and by the time I got dinner ready and ate, I was like sitting there shaking, trying to eat because my blood sugar was so low. So today, what I did is the very first moment that I started to sense that my blood sugar was starting to get low, because there are warnings, it's just most of my life I've pretty much been able to ignore it, and as long as I grab something sugary, at some point, I'd be good. That was not the case yesterday. I didn't bounce back. And then today, the moment that I very first started to get the jitters and shakes, I immediately, I just, maybe about an hour ago, I ate a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, just because my blood sugar was getting low again, or at least that's what it feels like. I don't have a glucose meter or nothing like that. So I've been doing my best to keep on top of it today, and doing much better, though. Doing much better. I don't feel nearly as, man, I felt like hell yesterday. So, a lot of things going on. Including all this stuff with drones that are going on over New Jersey, and there are a lot of people that are jumping on that bandwagon. And multiple times I had been sitting here over the course of the last several days, and I would watch a video of said quote-unquote drones flying over. And some of them you can clearly tell are helicopters and airplanes. I mean, how these people are mistaking this, you have to want to mistake it. Now that may sound a little nuts, but let me tell you something. There is this thing about our current society, and it doesn't matter. And I'm not speaking to everybody, I'm not saying all of you, but I'm saying there are a large amount of people out there, I would say over half, that they don't care whether or not something's true as long as it's the person that they like's telling them that. Now, I could bring up, hypothetical situations like, maybe, let's just pretend that there was a version of the flu that went around. And, and people were told to mask up and take this shot and do this and do that. You would have a lot of people, and it's been proven, a lot of people that will jump in line. Why? Because whoever it is that they like, that they got their information from, well, they said so. It is insane. And I can bring it down here on the YouTubes. I'll bring up Bear, okay? This is hilarious. In my opinion, it's hilarious. Tomorrow, and you can test this if you'd like. Go ahead. If I'm watching, I promise I will be laughing my ass off. Tomorrow, he will have his We All Gonna Die Wednesday, right? So, we're talking about a man that will go on about how bad people are because they don't like if he slurps in the, when he's taking a drink of coffee or something like that. He goes on and on about how weak and how pitiful people are that can't stand noises like that. So, if you want to see something funny, post in his chat that he's got an audio issue. And you will see him lose his damn mind. Now, what's that have to do with all of this? Because he is completely out of line and off base when he does that. Completely. The guy turns into a complete douchebag when he does that. And you will see the same people, the ones that really like him, defend his actions. No, I'm talking about Bear, independent. You will see the people that, his regulars and stuff, people that, buy into every damn thing he says, you will see them sit there and defend him for being a complete and utter douchebag. That's what I'm talking about. It's about whether or not people like where it is they're getting their information from. And it happens all the time. This drone/aircraft thing is another one of those examples. Now, oh, dude, he was awesome. Before he hit 100,000 subscribers, he was the shit. Without a doubt. He was incredible. He hit 100,000 subscribers, and that's when the chip came on his shoulder. That's when his chest got puffed out. And you notice that's when he also quit wearing a Be Humble and Kind shirt and saying that all the time. He quit saying all that stuff because he knows. He knows. He knows what he's doing. And he's even talked about how the Bear Show, and how him and his wife have talked about the Bear Show, right? Nah, that ain't cool. But anyway, why do I bring all that up? Well, because I see a lot of the same stuff with this drone thing. You've got people that want to be scared. They want to fear something. They've got to have a boogeyman so that they can find somebody to save them. And so every damn light in the sky over New Jersey is a drone. And that's not the case. I have watched countless videos and sat there and that's a plane, that's a helicopter, right? It's not real hard to figure out. It's just not. Well, the interesting thing is our United States military will spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars to blow a weather balloon out of the air? Yes, there was a weather balloon. Again, it's not about who we like is reporting what. It's about what the facts are. And the facts are, that turned out to be a weather balloon. Now, you won't hear a lot of the media saying that, although they have. Right? It's like one time they admitted, okay, it was just a weather balloon. And then ever since then it's, well, we can't have them flying spy balloons over like they did, It's ridiculous. People are looking for this. And the interesting thing is we don't have military jets up trying to, or military helicopter, anything, trying to get to the bottom of this. Now, the FBI is like, oh yeah, we'll look into it. You know why there hasn't been any kind of mass action being done to deal with this? Because most of them aren't drones. Now, I've seen some video that was reportedly from over New Jersey, to where there would be like 5 or so of them in formation. Now, I'm not talking about one after the other, the airplanes coming in to land at the airport one after the other like they do every damn day. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like in, say, a V formation or whatnot. And I've seen video of that was reported to be over New Jersey as of recent. And those I do believe are drones. I'm not saying that there are no drones, but I'm saying most of them are planes and helicopters, and that's it. And people want to see what they want to see. Yeah, they are using it as a distraction. They're using it as a fear tactic, and this is the most important part about that, Leo. they have been trying hard to get DJI drones banned. So if they can use this and say, see, no, these were DJI drones. See why we don't want them? See why we got to put laws in banning them? You know, never let a crisis go to waste, they say. So that's what a lot of this boils down to. It's just ridiculous, okay? I've got 2 DJI drones. One of them, the Mavic Air 2, it does have lights on the landing legs of it, red and green, okay? Now, there's something interesting about the red and green lights on a drone. Something very interesting about them. Know what that might be? They don't blink. They don't blink. They stay steady on. Now, if you fly at nighttime, by law, you have to put a strobe on it, a white strobe on it. That blinks. But the red and green lights on a drone do not blink. So next time you see one of these videos of these drones, understand that if the lights are going blinky blinky, not a drone. Not a drone. I have not seen, and I'm talking about not like a commercial drone. I'm not talking about a Predator drone or something like that. They probably got blinky blinky lights. But not, I will say, not any of the commercial or even industrial commercial drones. None of them have blinky lights. Go look it up. Go check it out. The lights stay on. I don't know if there's a particular reason why they do that, but it's a fact. So most of this hype is people wanting to believe this, and now every damn light they see in the sky is a drone. I've got a story here, the first story I've got to go over, and it's just as nonsensical. It is. Except almost 200 people died because of this nonsensical bullshit. People are messed up. And that's why I don't come here and try to put on a show. I don't try to be too cool for school. I could do that. I can bullshit the pants off a snake, man. Ask anybody that I've bullshitted, and there's been a lot of them. I don't want to do that. I want to humble myself. I don't want people to look at me and think that everything that comes out of my mouth is gospel. Now, I would never intentionally lie to you. But I don't want you to take my word for anything. I want you to look at stuff yourself, and if you find something wrong with what I say, I want to be challenged. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. Plain and simple. I want to be challenged. Not because I like to argue or anything like that, but I want the truth. That's what matters to me, the truth, not puffing out my chest and being too cool for school. So there was a situation that happened in Haiti. And this is part of the news today, and I saw it, and I'm like, holy cow. Have a vape and a drink real quick. We're talking worse than Jim Jones, right? Worse than Jim Jones. Most of those people willingly drank that Kool-Aid. You know, unlike the folks at Waco that got killed by the FBI. Yeah, different story. Nearly 200 massacred in Haiti over bad voodoo spell. Right? At least 184 people, primarily elderly men and women, right? Taking out the elderly, were killed in Haiti's capital city of Port-au-Prince over the weekend, according to UN estimates. The massacre is believed to have been orchestrated by Manel Felix, known as Meccano, a local gang leader in control of the Wharf Jeremy port area. The killings were reportedly confined largely to the site Soleil, an impoverished and densely populated district in the city. This past weekend, at least 184 people were killed in violence orchestrated by the leader of a powerful gang in the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince, UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk has said. The massacre was apparently prompted by a disagreement between Meccano and local practitioners of voodoo, a syncretic religion widespread in Haiti and commonly associated with witchcraft and black magic. The gang leader reportedly approached a voodoo priest after his son fell ill and died. And while it was not immediately clear how exactly the meeting went, Meccano became enraged and ordered the killings. He decided to cruelly punish all elderly people and voodoo practitioners who, in his imagination, would be capable of sending a bad spell on his son. Committee for Peace and Development, a local civil group, has said in a statement. The gang's soldiers were responsible for identifying victims in their homes to take them to the chief's stronghold to be executed, it added. According to local media reports, the victims of the massacre were tortured and executed with their mutilated bodies burned in the streets afterwards. The UN has strongly condemned the massacre, I hope, stating that the latest flare-up brings the tally of victims of Haitian gang violence to 5,000 this year. The Caribbean nation has endured decades of political instability and violence. The situation spiraled out of control in 2021 when the country's president, Jovenel Moïse, was assassinated. I could say moist because people hate that word. Haiti effectively ended up in the hands of a confederation of criminal gangs until a traditional council was established earlier this year. The body has been tasked with picking a new president, prime minister, and cabinet in the hope that a proper government will be able to quell the unrest. I don't know, maybe buy him some, school lessons or something, too, while you're at it might be a good idea. I mean, I get faith and I get beliefs and I believe me, I get all that. In fact, there are people that would say that some of the things that I say about the Father, some of the ways that I practice my spirituality is just off the chart. Absolutely. You try telling the majority of the people here in the United States of America that Christmas has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus Christ, and people will lose their ever-loving minds, even though it's true. You try to tell them that Easter has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. In fact, it's a celebration of Ishtar. And they will lose their minds. Why? Because they listen to the people that they like. Not listen to the truth, not search the truth for themselves, but they listen to the people that they like. And this is what can happen. Jim Jones, there was a lot of people that liked that man. They liked him enough to take poison Kool-Aid. It wasn't a situation that they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't get poison sneaked in on them. They knew. They were going to their next level. They were taking that next step. They knew. So you got to be real careful with that stuff. I thought this was absolutely insane. It's mind-blowing to me. Because when I hear something like this, it makes me think of stuff like the Salem witch trials. But it's mind-blowing to me that at this particular point in time, that people would still fall for this stuff. Would still fall for this stuff. And I'm not pooping on, anybody that believes in in voodoo and all that, you do you, boo. But when it starts to involve taking the lives of other people, yeah, and I'm not saying, okay, the gang members, they're not necessarily probably real hip on voodoo, but they believe it. At least the leader believes it enough that he would execute people over an alleged voodoo spell. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we actually joke around about Blue and say she's got like a little voodoo doll of me. We joke around with her once in a while. We've done that ever since she was a pup. I mess with her all the time. It's so fun. But it's crazy. It is crazy. I got huffed for that, by the way. See what I mean? I have no choice but to pick on her because she's just so personable. It's amazing. It's amazing. But, like I say, be very mindful of that stuff, man, because some of it's whack. Some of it's really, really whack. Hang on, let me approve this person. Okay. Who knows? I might be banning them real quick. So anyway, absolute insanity. Just like this nonsense with Musk and Trump Jr. laughing at Zelensky over a meme. That's funny. But I do have a funnier one. I don't have it up as a news story. But apparently, Donald Trump has released his own fragrances. And you can get the men's cologne Fight, Fight, Fight right now. Available on, I can't remember the name of the website. But here's the funny part about it. So, Trump went to go see this reopening ceremony of the Notre Dame Cathedral. And I guess Joe Biden went as well. And they're sitting in the front row. One seat space, there was an empty seat in between Trump and Joe Biden. And there was a moment to where she looked over at Trump with kind of an adoring look on her face, to be quite honest, and she had a smile on her face, and somebody got a picture of that. And he captioned it something to the effect of, so good even your enemies can't resist you, or something like that. But it's absolutely hilarious. That's even funnier than this. But Musk and Trump Jr. laugh at Zelensky Home Alone meme. And I used it as the thumbnail tonight. I think it's kind of funny. It says here, Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr., the eldest son of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, have reacted with humor to a meme on X in which Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky is compared to Home Alone character Kevin McAllister. The meme shows the famous scene from Home Alone 2 where Kevin, played by Macaulay Culkin, meets Donald Trump at the Plaza Hotel in New York, which is the U.S. president-elect owned at the time. You know, that scene that they took out of the movie? That one. The top half of the meme depicts the shot where Trump, who made a brief cameo in the 1992 comedy, gives Kevin directions to the lobby. The bottom half, however, features a photograph from a recent meeting between Trump and Zelensky, where the latter is photo-edited to wear a hat similar to Kevin's in the movie. Trump Jr. reposted the picture to X on Tuesday with laughing emojis, prompting a similar response from Musk. Trump met the Ukrainian leader during his weekend visit to Paris, where the incoming U.S. president attended the reopening of Notre Dame Cathedral. A trilateral meeting between Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Zelensky took place shortly after the reopening ceremony. Of course, you guys know all that stuff. Not going to just keep repeating it. I will mention, because I didn't cover it the night before last, that Roger Stone really kind of came out in force against Zelensky for his dress, for his lack of proper attire. And I get it, right? It's like, in my opinion, Zelensky's just doing nothing but playing a role. Playing a role. He's an actor in his own little war movie. And it almost really seems like that. You have the uncut one of that movie? Yeah, they, from what I heard, they, I guess, like the streaming versions or whatever, I heard they got rid of the scene with Trump. Oh, man. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. I have a vape here real quick. Oh, man. I thought I switched back. Anywho. Yeah, this next story blows my mind. If you compare the accident record from the F-35 and the Osprey, you will find that they've had far more trouble with the F-35 than they've had with the Osprey. Even Harriers were kind of accident prone. I'm not saying that the Osprey hasn't had its issues, but it's not near as common as what the F-35 and the Harriers were. I can't believe they're actually grounding the Ospreys. And there have been a number of incidents a little more recently, but in most cases, it came out that it's not the aircraft. It's pilot error. Anyway, Pentagon grounds accident-plagued aircraft. And this blows my mind, and the reason why is because there is a special place for these aircraft. A very special place for these aircraft. And we don't have anything else that can do it like that. That's it. Right? You've got the F-35, sure, but only some variants of that can do an actual vertical takeoff and landing, and they have to be, they can't be loaded up on fuel, that's for sure, when they do it. They've got to have, I think, a little over half fuel is their limit that they can have and be able to do vertical takeoff and landing. The Harrier's been long gone, but it says here the U.S. Defense Department has put flights of V-22 Ospreys on hold following a near-crash incident last month. The tilt-rotor aircraft is a hybrid with the maneuverability of a helicopter and higher speed and longer range of a turboprop plane. Since its debut in 1989, the V-22 Osprey has been involved in multiple crashes, claiming the lives of 64 personnel and injuring 93 more, according to AP's estimates. Now, Full stop. The reason why the number of individuals being killed and harmed in an Osprey is so high because it can carry quite a few people, right? The F-35 only going to carry one person. I don't know how many you can put in an Osprey, but a lot more than one, I can tell you that. Goes on to say costing up to $70 million per unit. I mean, could you imagine if the F-35 was that cheap? It is the primary assault support aircraft employed by the U.S. Marine Corps, Navy, and Air Force Special Operations Command. On Tuesday, AP reported that the head of the Naval Air Systems Command, Vice Admiral Carl Chibi, I think that's Chibi, made the decision last week, oh, I hate this quote, out of an abundance of caution. I hate that. In November, an Osprey aircraft almost crashed at the Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. No one sustained injuries in the latest incident, which was apparently caused by a metal weakness that is believed to have led to a separate deadly crash in Japan last year that left 8 people dead. After the incident, the Pentagon paused all V-22 Osprey flights for 3 months. Several months prior, 3 U.S. Marines perished in a similar incident during drills in Australia. In March 2022, 4 crew members died in another crash involving an aircraft that was taking part in drills in Norway. This November, AP published an extensive investigation into the numerous crashes involving the V-22 Osprey over the past few decades. Drawing on accident reports and flight data obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, as well as interviews with current and former crew members and experts, the report indicated that the aircraft has seen a sharp spike in the number of serious incidents and safety issues since 2019. According to AP, at the heart of many of these problems are features intrinsic to the V-22 Osprey's design, such as its unorthodox proportions with relatively small propellers. The nature of the hybrid design also means the crews have to monitor a number of factors at once, and the aircraft is unforgiving in case of error, the news outlet said. Talks about setbacks and whatnot, but that's it. That's the long and the short of it. The very large majority of these crashes are due to pilot error. I'm not saying that the aircraft aren't hard to fly. They're extremely hard to fly. Okay? But that doesn't change the fact that there's a difference between a part breaking and somebody screwing up. So, again, very complicated aircraft to fly. Even in the simulator, it's a complicated aircraft to fly. And it's touchy, very touchy. And I guarantee you that it's a lot easier to fly in the simulator than it is in real life. I guarantee that. You got so many, well, it's like you're mixing an airplane and a helicopter. And the two type of aircraft fly completely different. And so transitioning from one mode to the other is tricky. You've got to do it just at the right speeds and all that. And you have to understand, flying a helicopter is not an easy task. You've got so many things you have to keep an eye on. You got your RPM, you've got your torque. It's and you have to play a game. Now, of course, technology, now they've got, governing systems and stuff like that do make, like conventional helicopters, makes them much easier to fly. However, I'm not sure exactly how techy an Osprey is when it comes to that particular part of it. But if you look into it, you'll see most of the Osprey crashes are because of pilot error. And I'm not saying they're crappy pilots. I'm saying it's a hard plane to fly. I just think it's nuts when we're in a particular environment like now around the world that they would just ground these. Because again, they serve a place, and no other aircraft can take that spot that we have. Sure, I'd like to see them come up with a new type of design, and I think they could easily now. Now with the different types of flight control systems and stuff like that, they could come up with some humdingers if they wanted to. But I don't know. I haven't heard a call. Of course, they've got the NGAD program going on and stuff like that. I haven't heard anything about them looking for a replacement to the Osprey. They could do it now with jets. Easy. With the flight control systems that they have now, yeah. Here you look at the NGAD. The NGAD program, most of those aircraft don't have actual tail fins. They don't need them. You don't need them. If you've got the proper flight control system, that's all you need. Is your basically like your, I guess you'd call them flapper-ons, I guess. They work as well, and they do elevation as well. But between your thrust vectoring that the new engines have, and your, oh, right on, Leo. Your thrust vectoring that the engines have, and the new types of flight control systems. If you go look at some of the concepts for the NGAD program, they're very strange looking because of that advancements in the flight control systems, the thrust vectoring and stuff like that. They can just do a lot more now than what they could before. So, in the game VTOL VR, there is, I forget, AV24C or 42C, something like that. And it's kind of a jet-powered, it's almost like a jet-powered Osprey, in a sense. And I'm actually surprised that they haven't tried to come out with something like that, start a program like that, because they do need to replace the Osprey. I'm not saying they don't need to replace that. They do, because it's aged and it's, served its purpose, served its time. But now they need something that's got a little better performance than even what that has. Have a couple of vapes here. Got 2 more articles left. The last one I've got, I don't know. All I can do is shake my head. It'd be one thing if, we were actually trying to do something about it, but we're not, so. Hang on, my sinuses are giving me hell now. I don't know why. Just kind of started in this evening. So, oh. Well, now, if you're talking about the dual rotor Chinook, that really doesn't replace the Osprey. Those are 2 different animals. An Osprey can get in and out of places a lot easier and quicker than what a Chinook can. Chinooks are huge. I mean, ginormous. So, Chinooks are awesome. Don't get me wrong. But it's basically it's a fairly fast helicopter. Very powerful. That thing, oh my goodness, insane powerful. But it really doesn't replace a Chinook. Or an Osprey. It's got its own purpose, especially heavy lift. Well, yeah, I was just saying that. You just put it in the chat. Heavy lifter, yep, absolutely. To where the Osprey, nah. I mean, you can load it up with people and some gear, but as far as vertical takeoff, the Osprey's just not. Now I can do a short takeoff and carry much more weight. But, man, I'll tell you what, that Chinook, man, you can carry tanks around with that damn thing. It's unreal. It is unreal. But it doesn't have near the maneuverability as what an Osprey's got. So, you got to give and take somewhere. So this next one's not going to be a surprise to anybody, sadly. U.S. pays $20 billion into Ukraine loan fund. U.S. Treasury Department announced on Tuesday that it disbursed a $20 billion loan for Ukraine backed by interest from frozen Russian assets. The money, which covers around half of Kiev's current deficit, is part of a broader $50 billion G7 loan deal. Money was paid into a World Bank fund that will transfer it into Kiev, the Treasury said in a statement. The EU will contribute an additional $20 billion to this fund, while G7 members Britain, Japan, and Canada will add another $10 billion. Ain't that crazy? So 3 other countries will chip in $10 billion, but our one country will throw in $20 billion. It's crazy. For a total of $50 billion that Ukraine will theoretically repay over 40 years. Don't be waiting for that check. By handing over the money before President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January, the Treasury Department has ensured that Trump will not be able to cancel or amend its terms, a step that would potentially be taken as leverage to force Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky to negotiate a peace deal with Moscow. 1 week earlier, President Joe Biden authorized a new $725 million military aid package for Ukraine and imposed additional economic sanctions on Russia. President Biden has committed to making sure that every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door between now and January 20, Secretary of State Antony Blinken told reporters last month. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that the $20 billion credit transfer will provide Ukraine a critical infusion of support, golden parachute, and will help ensure Ukraine has the resources it needs to sustain emergency services, hospitals, and other foundations of its brave resistance. Ukraine's government, military, and public services have been entirely dependent on foreign aid since 2022, and the cost of sustaining the conflict with Russia has driven the country's finances into disarray. Last month, Zelensky signed the country's state budget for the next year into law. The budget anticipates revenues of $49 billion and expenditures of $87 billion, putting the overall deficit at $38 billion. Freaking insane, man. Insane. And I think about the people struggling in this country, whether it's homeless or whether it's, the people in North Carolina. There are a lot of people struggling in this country. And it absolutely blows my mind that we can just hand all this money over to these other countries. And Ukraine's just one country. We're handing all kinds of, we're like Oprah Winfrey to the nations of the world. Here's $1 billion, there's $1 billion. Look under your chair, there's $10 billion. It's insane. It is insane. I hope that I see someday that it stops entirely. Trump says he'll maybe cut aid. Now he's backing off. It's not a definite, like everybody thought. Now it's maybe, probably. So we'll see. But I have a feeling there'll be many other countries that we still keep funneling money into, and especially Israel. We won't stop doing that. Doesn't matter whether it's red or blue in office. Doesn't matter if red or blue is in control of the House or the Senate. There is three things in life that are guaranteed. Right? Death, taxes, and sending money to Israel. Those are the three damn things you can guarantee no matter what. And I think it's absurd. Hope to see the day that we quit doing it. This last one almost relates, well, not almost, it does relate to one of the things I was commenting on earlier. I talked the other day about medicines and how we get the majority of our medications from China. And obviously, many people learned about that during the COVID epidemic because the pharmacies were low on many different types of medications. But yet the United States has done nothing to start making, the antibiotics. It's insane. It's insane. And the United States has done nothing to fix that issue. Nothing. Well, that's bad enough. But what's just as crazy, if not more crazy, is that we would pin our ability to defend ourselves on China. But we do. It is insane. China restricts drone parts exports to the West, says Bloomberg. We're not talking about the DJI drones. China has restricted the export of key components to Europe and the U.S. used in the production of drones, Bloomberg has reported, citing anonymous sources. The outlet said the measure could pose a challenge to Ukraine's military UAV manufacturers who are heavily reliant on Chinese parts. Now, let me throw something at you. If China was so much allied with Russia, why did they just now decide to sanction these parts, restrict them? Kind of interesting. Says in an article on Monday, Bloomberg said that the restrictions affect both the U.S. and European firms. Chinese manufacturers have reportedly either limited their shipping quantities or suspended altogether the deliveries of key components as drone motors, batteries, and flight controllers. Flight controllers are very important. The outlet quoted Lorenz Meyer, chief executive officer of Auterion, a company that specializes in providing UAV software, as predicting that it will escalate over time to new restrictions. The firm reportedly works with Ukrainian military among other clients. Bloomberg stated that many producers of UAVs in Ukraine rely on Chinese parts. The alleged caps were preceded by Beijing's ban on the sale of dual-purpose items and materials to the U.S. military and American companies earlier this month. The outlet said the move came in retaliation for Washington imposing curbs on the sale of high-bandwidth memory chips and additional semiconductor gear to China. The article suggested that Beijing is set to put in place more sweeping export restrictions next year. These could supposedly take the form of license approvals or a requirement for Chinese companies to notify the government of their shipment plans. Faced with such gloomy prospects, drone manufacturers in the US and the EU are looking for alternative suppliers, with Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan mentioned by Bloomberg as potential substitutes. Why not us? However, according to a Washington-based think tank, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, China at present accounts for almost 80% of the commercial drone market globally. Since the escalation of the Ukraine conflict in February 2022, multiple claims have been made by Western officials and the press, alleging that Beijing has supplied both Moscow and Kiev with drone components for their respective fleets of reconnaissance and strike UAVs. China has consistently denied these accusations. Back in July, China introduced a ban on the export of all civilian drones that could potentially be used for military purposes. In November, that is to Ukraine. In November, the country's Ministry of Commerce issued a list for export control of dual-use items that came into force on December 1. In a social media post in September, Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky appeared to criticize Chinese export restrictions without naming the country directly. So, I wouldn't doubt that they would be supplying both Russia and Ukraine with drone components. Business, right? And I would say that the fact that they do supply any to Ukraine is a clear indicator that they're not like real buddy-buddy with Russia, or else they would have stopped doing it. About money. I think you can expect this to happen. And why I say that, sorry, I blew my nose and the dog just bitched at me about it. She literally just snarled me. I ought to steal her pillow. That's what I ought to do. I ought to just take her pillow. I'll take your pillow. Anyway, as you know, Trump plans to whip out the tariff stick. I have no doubt that he will. I support him doing that wholeheartedly. But that's going to cause issues, and probably this is going to be one of the things that results from it. A restriction on some of these components as well as many other things. So, do I think that, and this comment's going to be 100% if there's not an escalation between us and China militarily. So, put that little asterisk there. I don't think that we need to be so super duper worried about these tariffs and the cost of everything going through the roof. I think if you're going to be concerned about high prices on anything, you probably need to keep more worried about food. Because I do see that we're probably going to have much higher prices on food. I think it's crazy because, yikes, man. It's already kind of a crazy situation as far as that's concerned. And there's reports, and not related to what's going on with China, but there are reports that food prices are going to skyrocket again. Why? Because they can. Let's just be honest. Because they can. Gotta eat. They don't care if you don't eat. Hey, gotta have health care, right? They damn sure don't care if you don't have that. Trust me, they don't care if you eat. They don't care if you have a roof over your head. This country is in a bad spot. And hopefully, the next 4 years will see us kind of turn that around a little bit. No guarantees. But at least we have a damn better shot at it with Trump than we would have with Camel Toe. So, I don't know. I always say the same thing. I'm a broken record. None of this stuff matters. And, just make sure you're ready. And I don't mean that in a fear-mongering way. I mean, goodness, there's so much fear-mongering on YouTube today. It's unreal. No, I don't mean it like that. For anything. For anything. Simple power outage because some drunk guy hit the power pole. Whatever. We'll see what goes on. We'll see what goes on. By no means are we, out of the woods yet with Russia, even after January 20th. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on. All the serious stuff, don't mean to sound funny, but could get serious real quick. I think that the U.S. and Israel have provided mucho support for the quote-unquote rebels to be able to take control of Syria. I do not believe that the United States or Israel plans to allow the people that's currently in control to remain in control. This is like an in-between period for them, right? They got rid of Assad, which they've been trying to do for a long time. They got him out of there. Now they're going to have to get this group out of there. Now, this group is probably not so dense that they don't know that this is going to happen. And they're probably preparing for it. So that whole Syria thing, I have a feeling we're just beginning to see that get ugly. Now, I'm not making the claims out there that are so popular today on the YouTubes that, this is it. This is biblical. It might be. I'm not saying it is, and I'm damn not sure not saying it isn't. I'm saying I'm not going to prophesy it because I was commanded not to. There are a lot of people that are trying to attach what's going on right now with Syria with Scripture. And when it talks about the fall of Damascus, it doesn't mean like it's currently happened. It means like the whole damn place will be leveled. Now, I've said it before, that is my big cue that I'm waiting for. That's my big, okay, now's the time, is to see Damascus leveled. But it will be leveled. The Bible made it clear. It's not just going to be the toppling of a regime. It will be leveled. So if you see that, then worry. But aside from that, this is just typical instability in the Middle East right now. Oh, but keep your eye on it. Never take your eye off of stuff. Anywho, I see the 9 bells have rung. I'm going to get out of here and get some rest because I'm still kind of dog tired. So I'm waiting for it. Nothing yet. She'll double huff me later. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate y'all coming. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. And, hopefully I'm better prepared and I've got my goofy little monologue to start out with. And we'll talk to you then. So I hope everybody has a good night. And shalom.